Hey everybody, hey, welcome back. It is Sunday, October 5th, and I just want to make sure we're live before we start the chat and that you can hear me. It's Sunday, October 5th, and I just want to make sure we're live. So just wanted to make sure we were live. As you guys know, I told you guys last Sunday that I wouldn't be on here because I will be traveling back to Georgia. However, I am still up in Jersey. So anyway, tonight we are going to discuss this D.R. Horton class action lawsuit. And as you guys know, when I'm out of town, I do not have access to actually showcase documents or any type of media on the screen. So what I will do in turn, as we always do, is I'll read off my phone and we'll gather in conversation for the next hour. And there goes my dad. All right, hey dad. He is on here tonight. If you guys, I don't know what this said. Yeah, so don't be shy to kind of chime in with this class action lawsuit. If you're new to the channel, don't be ashamed to subscribe to the channel. Also, hit that notification bell and that like button and share if you find this information knowledgeable or valid, or if you want to help someone else out in the interim. What's going on, David Matney? Thank you for joining. I know most people probably might not come on here tonight because I said I wasn't going to be here. I wasn't going to be here. I was supposed to be on the road back to Georgia, but I'm still here. Hey, Miss H, how you doing? Thank you guys for coming over to the channel. I'll do some housekeeping real quick. If you guys don't know, I also just celebrated a birthday, so I just turned another age. And I want to thank my dad for making sure I had a good birthday, along with my cousin as well. Today, we actually came back from her house and she gave me some birthday cake and surprised me. So I want to thank everybody for my friends, my family for reaching out to me, telling me happy birthday. I truly appreciate it. I am another age, another year around the earth in the sun. So I appreciate everybody. Thank you, David. Thank you. Thank you. I'm getting a little older. But needless to say, okay, let's jump into this lawsuit. If you guys haven't heard, D.R. Horton is under another class action lawsuit every couple. Thank you, Miss H. I appreciate the happy birthday wishes. D.R. Horton, they have gone through several class action lawsuits. Hey, what's going on, MHOA? Thank you for the birthday cakes. They've gone through several class action lawsuits, and so I just want to dig into this particular one. This is in regards to the property taxes and when they actually, when home buyers go with D.R. Horton and they utilize their mortgage side of D.R. Horton to be able to purchase a new construction property, they have felt that they are have been duped due to them not understanding the full capacity of the taxes come the years later on, whether it be the following year, 2 years later, when taxes are assessed for the whole structure on the land and not just the land per se. These homeowners felt like they have been duped and that their mortgages, when it comes out of escrow, they have gone up either and more as far as their monthly payments. So as you guys know, again, I'm going to read my cell phone, but please chime in. Let's have a great conversation. Let me know your thoughts around this. The lawsuit is a class action lawsuit. It's being filed in the District Court of Orlando, Florida. So in Florida, they are filing this lawsuit. It says the defendant, D.R. Horton, one of the largest home builders, operates a deceptive bait and switch scheme that conceals the true monthly cost of purchasing its homes from unsuspecting home buyers. The deception makes D.R. Horton homes appear more affordable than competitors' properties, while enabling buyers to qualify for loans on homes that cost more than they understand they can afford. So they're basically saying, of course, I'm getting text when I'm on this live. So they're basically saying that these home buyers have felt like they had been deceived in regards to their monthly payments. It says to carry out its scheme, D.R. Horton works with its preferred mortgage lender, DHI Mortgage, to entice prospective home buyers, predominantly middle and working class Americans, by promising them low, affordable monthly payments. In reality, defendants create artificially low monthly mortgage payment quotes by deliberating including only a fraction of required property taxes in their payment calculations, while knowingly excluding the remaining taxes. Through this monthly payment suppression scheme, D.R. Horton and DHI Mortgage misled home buyers into believing their total monthly housing costs will fit within their monthly budget. Let's see what Miss H said. Question: do you know if D.R. Horton is located all over the United States or in just certain areas? I would like to stay clear of any of their properties. As far as I know, I think they're in like 36 states. Hold on, let me see. Because I actually was looking at that earlier. I believe they might be in 30. Let me see. How many states is D.R. Horton in? I think it would say 36 states. Yeah, it says D.R. Horton operates in 36 states and 126 markets across the United States, making it America's largest home builder by volume. I don't know exactly what states they're all in, but it's 36 states. So with that being that they're in those 36 states, I know that they're in Georgia. David said that he has them there in Omaha as well. They are, he said in Omaha. Miss H said, "Wow, yeah." So they're in 36 states, and they were founded in Fort Worth, Texas, in 1978. So I'm presuming that they're probably in Texas as well, and they're probably they have probably have a large footprint in Texas because that is where they're headquartered at. That's where they're founded at. So I'm pretty sure they probably have a big footprint in Texas. Hey, what's going on, Lauren? Hey, if you guys don't know, Lauren is a realtor out in the Metro Atlanta market with me. One of my colleagues, actually, she has a house currently listed in the Hapeville section of Atlanta, South Atlanta. So definitely head over and check out her listing. David said D.R. Horton just started building in Omaha just a few years ago. Okay, so they just created a footprint in Omaha just a couple years ago. Yeah, they're all around, but people, just have to you just have to do your your own due diligence. Make sure you understand what you're getting into. Maybe go and Google different builders when you go and you find interest in the builder. Maybe go Google it and just see if they have any lawsuits against them. See what the lawsuits were for, because sometimes it might be an important type of lawsuit, it might be a frivolous lawsuit. As consumers, typically most time as consumers we complain when we don't like stuff more than when we like stuff. So you'll see more complaints against stuff that we dislike than we do like, because when we do like it, most people just don't comment on it. But I would definitely say do your research in regards to that. So let's jump back into this lawsuit as far as what was submitted into the courts. This has yet to go to trial. The attorney is asking for a trial, so it has yet to go to trial. So I don't know if they're going to settle outside of the court or if it's going to actually get to, but they want a jury. They do want a jury trial. The plaintiffs, as far as the homeowners, it says defendants. So it says through this monthly payment scheme, D.R. Horton and D.H. Mortgage misled homebuyers into believing their total monthly housing costs will fit with their monthly budget. I think we read this already. It says monthly budget. Sorry, you guys. I just want to make sure we read the same. But defendants have actual knowledge of the true property taxes amounts throughout the entire home sales and financing process. It says, and they know what home buyers' monthly payments will actually be. So what these homeowners are saying is that they believe that D.R. Horton and their subsidiary, their lender partner, D.H., as far as the mortgage side, they already know what the true amount of said taxes will be, but instead they're suppressing the true amount of the taxes because they want to make sure they can get these home buyers into the homes. And because if they can't get them into the homes, if the monthly payment is more than what the home buyer can afford, whether it be debt to income ratio wise, whether it be if they can afford it but they just don't want to pay for something more, these homeowners feel like they're suppressing the actual true taxes and a sense of bait and switch. Again, this is what's inside this lawsuit. I'm not a lawyer. I'm reading what the lawyer laid out. So please do not go and try to do anything with me. I'm just reading what they laid out. Hey, what's going on, Corey West? Good to see you as well. Good to see you. David said, seems like a money grab. Yeah, so this is, I don't, in the sense of, I don't know if the lawyers are just trying to, because, okay, so this is another thing too with these lawsuits, right? Some of these lawsuits are frivolous lawsuits. And so I don't know if it's a money grab in the sense of the lawyers. But also, we do need to regulate how things are done in the housing industry. I do agree that a lot of these home buyers are getting caught up in thinking that their monthly mortgages are based off of what they're quoted, because most times when you purchase a new construction, you're getting quoted off of the land taxes, right, and not really the structure, because the structure has yet to be assessed, because typically, depending on where you live at, I know in Georgia, it's usually we go within a year before they reassess the property value. And so, and also can determine, like, it can depend on the county you're in too, right? How they kind of do that assess property value. So where I'm currently located at, it's a year. And then they come back out, they assess the value, they see the structure on the land, they assess it by other houses, similar, comparable around the area. And that's how they get the new tax value on that said structure. And so what is happening is that most times these lenders, as far as when you buy the new construction, they are just quoting you what the land taxes are, and they might not be fully quoting all the taxes, because the taxes are an estimate, right? It's an estimate on what the property is possibly worth, right? It's an estimate. So with it being an estimate, they're just estimating what said taxes could be, and that's what they're doing. And with that being the case, it then puts you as a home buyer in a situation where come the following year, when you get reassessed, that your monthly payment could possibly go up. And this is what's happening. So in regards to this lawsuit being placed in effect, is a money grab too by lawyers, because the lawyers are trying to definitely grab as much as they can. If you guys don't know, there's been several lawsuits going on. There's still several lawsuits going on where the lawyers are coming in and they're trying to put in place certain situations to possibly get money out of it. However, we do need somebody to step up and say things, and we do need to kind of go deeper underneath of the cusp of what truly is happening in real estate and go behind the curtain, so we can see how we as consumers can be able to better position ourselves when purchasing homes. Uh, Miss H said, "How is the market in your area? Stable, moving, slowing down, or are people just waiting to see what changes?" So in my current market right now, Miss H, we have a kind of like slowing down per se. So people are waiting on the sidelines, trying to see what makes sense. But people are still, they're not buying like they were before. There's not multiple offers going into properties. So you might get one offer in a property. You might have a property sitting for, depending on where you're located at, depending on the price point, you might get something that might sit on the market for 5 days. You might get something that might be on the market for 165 days, 230 some days. It just depends on what's happening in certain locales in the metro Atlanta area. The thing about real estate is that it's local, but then it becomes very hyper local depending on the area too. So it can be some areas where people just want to get into certain areas. It's a desirable area, a desirable school district. They've always wanted to be in this particular house or this particular area. And so when a house pops up in that area, it could go quicker depending on if it's another area where somebody's like, well, I don't really want to be there. That can sit on the market for 236 days. I've seen houses 325 days. It also depends on, is it a single family home? Is it a condo structure? The condos, depending on where they're located, some of these condos are still longer because the HOA fees are astronomical. So it's so many different variables. But what I can definitely say is that our market is trending. I don't want to say downwards, but well, it is trending downwards. So let me just say it's trending downwards in the sense of it's slowing down. Prices are dipping in our market in the metro Atlanta area. And so you just got to make sure you understand what you're doing if you're purchasing right now. And just make sure you're going in and you're fully evaluating how you want to purchase said properties if you're purchasing in the metro Atlanta area. But prices are definitely getting cut. Things are slowing down, but then you still got some people that are buying prices. Some depending again on the area, some people are buying at a higher price, which is still crazy to me. David said, sometimes we have so much documentation and disclosures, it seems like people sign without reading or understanding anything. Exactly, David. And this is the thing that I feel like might be a situation in this type of lawsuit, because there's so many things, and I'm pretty sure, and well, what they're saying too is that they felt like this wasn't stated to them either, and it's not on a documentation. However, I feel like it probably was stated, but because people are emotional human beings and we're in the moment of trying to buy said property, we're excited, and we might bypass things. We might not understand stuff fully because we have to ask questions, we have to read. What I realized, and I used to make this mistake too, and I try not to do it anymore. I try to read everything that I sign before signing, or just little small things. And even when it comes to me working with people, I know they probably fall asleep with me, but I try to make sure when we're signing the purchase and sale agreement, when we're going through different things, our buyer consultation and different things like that, I try to have conversation. I try to read through it. I try to say if you have questions about it, just because I just want to make sure you fully understand it. And if you are going through the process as you keep going, if you have more and more questions, just always reach out to me and ask me. Um, so I try to do that the best I can. I'm a human being. Sometimes we miss things, but I try to do my best to read stuff to people and hopefully thoroughly explain it so it's not a confusion. And if you are confused, I try to say, hey, ask me questions. And if you aren't confused, I'll send a document over to you, and I'll send it where you can't sign it. And I know some people probably don't like that, but I'll send it where you can't sign it, because in the past I realized I would read through everything with people, and then I would send it over. I say reread it, make sure you reread it again. The buyer or seller agreements or anything, reread it again. Make sure you understand, and if you don't understand it, be able to come back and ask me. So I send it now where I don't allow people to sign it. I just allow you to view it. And I know some realtors probably wouldn't do that because people might feel like, well, you just letting customers run off. But I just want people to make sure they read it, because we need to read. So David said, in Omaha, things are slowing down. Hey, good evening, Lang. So if you guys don't know, this is my cousin who surprised me today with the birthday cake. So this Lang is my cousin. So good evening, Lang, and I appreciate it. Thank you. Um, MHOH said, too much uncertainty today to make any big financial decisions. Yeah, it's a lot of uncertainty. So if you are in the market to make a big financial decision, you definitely want to make sure it makes sense to you, make sure it's affordable to you, and make sure you have a sense of comfort, because these big purchases in homes, especially homes, right? Homes are so expensive nowadays. So you want to make sure you do the right thing. And of course, you can't time anything, right? We as people can't time anything. We can't time what's going to happen in our lives. Like right now, I'm having car problems. I didn't time my car to be messed up. I didn't time to have problems in regards to my car. Um, you know, so we all have things going on. But we just want to make sure if it's a big financial decision that we just don't jump out there and just make decisions that we feel like might be, crucial in the long run as far as when it comes to future events. I guess that makes sense. I don't know. Miss H said, I used to watch some of the realtors online showing nice homes newer in certain areas. They really showing to move the home, trying hard. I appreciate that kind of work on their part. Yes, I used to also do home tours as well, Miss H. I stopped doing them as frequently just because one, I would do them and then I would edit them. But then also I realized that when I would do them sometimes, um, the realtors would reach out. They would if of course you would, you tell people I'm touring it, I'm viewing it, I'm taking video, and some realtors would reach out like, that's my property, you didn't ask me. I'm like, well, I did ask you in the showing time app where I requested the showing, and if I called you, you didn't pick up the phone. If I text you, you didn't reply. So I put in the showing time app, hey, I'm going to be taking video to put on social media platforms. So some realtors didn't like it, so I try to be very cautious when I do it, but I will hopefully sooner or later go and make some more videos so you guys can tour some of the homes again in the Metro Atlanta area. My cousin Lang said, good evening. She said, I just woke up. We love you. Love you too. Love you too. Croy West said, birthday. Yes, my birthday was October 2nd. It just passed. It just passed. Miss H said, how long have you been in business? You are doing fine by me. And if I was looking in your area, you would have my business. Thank you for sharing. So as far as a licensed realtor in the Metro Atlanta area, I've only been licensed in Metro Atlanta for about 3.5, close to, yeah, like 3.5, close to 4 years. However, as far as me being in real estate, most people don't know this. Before I was licensed in Metro Atlanta area, I used to work with my friend, and she was a realtor in the tri-state area Jersey and Pennsylvania, and we would I would help her as far as buy investment properties. We were buying investment properties, property management. So in totality, as far as real estate, I've actually been in real estate for 10 years now, which is crazy, right? As far as license in Georgia, because I relocated from up north down to Georgia. And when I got down to Georgia, I actually wasn't going to get a license. My friend who was investing, she was like, you need to get your license because since you know real estate and we've been doing this stuff together and I trust you more, I'd rather use you than use another realtor I don't know. So I got licensed in Georgia. And then my friend, she wanted to invest in more of multi-family units. So in the Metro Atlanta area, they don't have as many multi-family units as far as like triplexes and quadruplexes. That's really what she was aiming for. They don't have a lot of them, so it put us on the sideline. COVID happened, a lot of things happened. So yeah, so I actually, by chance, one of my colleagues in my office had a client that she wanted me to work with because since they knew my real estate background, and that's how I kind of started working with residential clients because that wasn't the goal. But I'm like, I try to give my knowledge as much as I know as far as real estate. Also having a my sister's dad, my older sister, her dad has been actually in the mortgage field, residential and commercial, for 47 plus years. So just having conversations with him about lending and mortgaging. So even though I've only been quote unquote in real estate for 10 years, licensed in Georgia now for only 3 and a couple years, close to 4 years, I do know a lot about real estate because I've been in it, and then I also have family members that's been in it. So needless to say, that's a long question for a short answer. So hopefully that makes sense. But I appreciate you if you were in my area using me to help you. But all right, let's jump back into this lawsuit in regards to that. So again, in regards to this lawsuit, the premises really lays around property taxes and feeling like they have been deceived when it comes to purchasing new construction and then being able to turn around within a year or so, and then their mortgage going up. It says, but defendants actually know, so they're saying that the defendants actually know about the true cost of how much the mortgage should be. However, they predominantly and repeatedly centered the suppressed monthly payment in all the paperwork provided to homeowners. It is not until well after closing, that homebuyers learn the truth when their monthly payments increase by hundreds of thousands of dollars. By this time, DHI Mortgage has transferred the loan, and a new new mortgage service delivers the bad news. So basically, they're saying once the loan is transferred, once they're coming up to be assessed, and their escrow is short per se, because that's what it is. Your escrow is short, right? Their escrow is short, and then with the escrow being short, the lender sends them a letter in the mail, reaches out to them per se, and says, "Hey, this is how much you need to the difference of your escrow. You need to either pay this amount in full, or you can put it into your monthly loan payments, blah 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 blah." And in that circumstance, most people can't pay a full payment, a full layout, a full lump sum, I should say, not payment. And so typically most people might roll it into their monthly payments on their mortgage, and then it causes their mortgage payments to go up. So it says by this time the DHI had already sold their mortgage. It says, deepening the injury, many of defendants' consumers are participants in the Federal Housing Administration. So they're saying that a lot of these people that are buying these new construction homes, they're first-time home buyers, and they're using the FHA program. So that's the Federal Housing Administration program under HUD, the Housing Urban. I'm trying to make sure I'm saying it right. The Housing Urban. Hold on, make sure I'm saying it right, because make sure I'm saying HUD right. I'm like, I know it, but I just want to make sure I get it right so I don't say it wrong, because I don't want y'all to be on my neck. HUD is the Housing Authority. What is it? The Housing Department. Sorry, Department of Housing and Urban Development. There we go. So basically they're saying like a lot of these homes, these people are FHA homeowners, and so with that being the case too, most of these FHA homeowners, they are putting down typically 3.5%, right? So they're putting down a lower payment for their to purchase the home. And with them putting down a lower payment, they could possibly also put them in the sense of their mortgages being underwater. right within, once they close on the house, they don't have as much stake in said property because they put down less money. And with them putting down less money, it could possibly mean that they could be underwater. So even if said homeowner wanted to sell, like in this situation that we're having right now, as far as property values and kind of declining depending on where you live at, and if you bought a house last year, it might be cheaper this year. And if we don't, and if we all know too that new construction, they are slashing some of their prices, and then they're giving these incentives and all this stuff. So if you bought a house last year, let's say it was $400,000, and the new construction, they're building more units per se, and they're slashing the price. Maybe it's not 400,000, maybe they put it down to 380 or something now. That and if you haven't paid a lot into it, and you put only 3.5% down, you might possibly be underwater. Your mortgage is going up. Now it's harder for you to maybe sell the house and get out the situation because you're like, I got to sell my house for less than what I bought it for. My mortgage is this, and it could possibly place you underwater because you don't have as much equity or much stake in said house, and it could put you in a bad position. So I just tell people, just make sure um, when you're buying a house, especially this big finance, this is a big, like MHOH said, this is a big financial decision. So you want to make sure it makes sense and you put yourself in a good place starting out. Again, I always tell people we don't know what's going to come after we do what we do. Even if we put ourselves in a good starting position, things can happen. You can lose your job. Um, so many things can happen. So right, even if you set yourself up for success, sometimes things can create like a domino effect where even if you set yourself up for success, it can still go wrong, right? So we just want to do as much as we can, as best as we can, and start ourselves off at start A at a good financial place, and then make sure we keep trying to go from A, B, C, D, E, and with the good financial decisions. MH said, Miss H, sorry, I said MH, sorry, Miss H. Miss H said, I did see someone share how she stayed ahead of the payments. She didn't eat to make payments. Oh wow, she didn't eat so she can make her payments. She stated the first month and she started the first month and paying 2 months of, I guess, paid 2 months of the principal ahead, and she paid off the home in 5 years sooner. Wow, so that was smart, paying the hitting that principal and getting that mortgage down and paying it off quicker, and kind of crushing some of that interest per se. So that was very smart that she did it. It kind of sucks that as a homeowner in United States of America, and I don't know, it might exist all over the world as well, that we have to sacrifice things in order for us to pay off our debt or pay off our mortgage or pay bills in some extent. I don't feel like we should have to do that as human beings, whether no matter where you live at, America, Europe, wherever. I feel like our job should be suffice enough in which we can afford said living expenses, food expenses, and we shouldn't have to jeopardize not eating in order to pay bills. So that's crazy, but I'm glad she was able to get it paid off sooner. When I bought my home years ago, I did pay more towards the principal every month. A few times the pay they pay me back for overpaying. Yeah, so yeah, exactly. Sometimes they will definitely pay you back when you overpay, and like I said, you can also have an overage even in the escrow, like you stated, as far as those sending it back. And what I tell people, and most people do it, some people don't, is that if they give you that check, that escrow check, I would say send it back to them and tell them just to put it into the escrow and just let it sit there. You know, but I know some people, they might get the check back and they might spend it because again, you might need it. You don't know the circumstance somebody's in. So I definitely understand people getting the check back and spending it. But if you can, try to give it back, throw it back in. She said, sorry, misprint on the part of her eating. Didn't mean to say that part. Okay, okay. All right. So no problem, no problem. Wasn't sure. So when it comes to, let's get back into this lawsuit. So again, I'm not home right now. So since I'm not home, I'm reading from my phone because I can't pull up the article online. So we're reading the lawsuit from my phone. If you guys want me to later on, once this video is finished, it usually takes a day to go through YouTube, their processing thing. And I can actually attach the link to this full lawsuit so you guys can read it all in full if you want to. It's 80 pages. We're not going to read 80 pages. We're only going to read about 5 or 6, and we're just going to talk about it because it's all the same per se. It's a lot of summary, a lot of um, basically detail oriented, like laying everything out accordingly, showing the promotions that they have for their interest rate buy downs for all these things. You can kind of see the different promotions inside the lawsuit. It says defendants' unfair and deceptive scheme enables them to market their homes as more affordable than competitor properties through artificially low monthly payment quotes. Typically, a monthly mortgage payment consists of principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. Because home buyers make purchase decisions based on their total monthly payment amount, defendants can manipulate the disclosed tax component to make higher price homes appear affordable. For example, if a home buyer had a $2,500 a month budget to cover all 4 components of a monthly mortgage payment, using a lower tax amount allows defendants to capture a larger share of the home buyer's budget for repayment towards the principal. I always tell people, yes, you want to make sure you are within your monthly payment, your budget that you find affordable. But I typically try to tell people to go lower than what the loan amount offers you. I know some people might, at the end of the day, it's your decision, whatever you decide to do, right? I just always like to put people in a good financial situation because even myself, I try to put myself in good financial situations. As a human being, we fall short, we mess up, i.e., my car situation. But so we can't always, prophesize what's going to happen. We don't have a crystal ball. We don't know the future. But because of that, I try to make sure I put, try to tell people some good financial situations, not situations, but good financial advice. And I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a lender. I'm not a nobody. I'm just the person that want to make sure we don't get caught up in the madness of debt and not be able to live our life successfully. But needless to say, I tell people the best thing to do is try to buy below whatever your current purchase your loan amount is. So also try to think ahead of time, right? Because what we're seeing right now is we're seeing property taxes typically go up, home insurance typically goes up. You have your HOA that might go up as well. So you want to kind of forecast things uh, and say, okay, if I'm buying this house and I know that I can only afford 2,100, maybe I should buy and have a mortgage at 1,800 instead of 2,100 because next year it might go up. And this is how I look at life, right? And when we're younger, we're not making money, right? And our money making years are like in our 30s or 40s or 50s. It's almost like everything goes up. What goes up must come down, right? You're younger, you make no money. As you get in your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, you make the most money of your life. And then as you get older, you come back down because most of that money, if you're just working a regular job, you have a regular career, most of your money is then put into pensions, savings, 401ks, and retirement. And so you're living off retirement checks, which means that your income is now squeezed back to basically not making any type of money. So with that being the case, you want to make sure if you think in the future, say, hey, when the future comes, if my house is not fully paid off, if I have some type of debts, I might want to be able to alleviate that in my high paying years. So when I get into my time when I don't have no money, then I'll be able to get by without it being a problem. And I know it's not always the case too, because when we have times like this where everything's inflationary and things go up, so now yeah, stuff is being squeezed differently. But it's just the way to look at stuff. So and Miss H said, yes, that came in handy when I needed to buy things I needed at the time of the refund. Okay, yeah. So my dad said, when they pay you back, is there a way of continuing the interest? Um, I don't know. I do know when they pay you back, I just tell people just to send it back to them, and then they can just add it back in. You really want to hit like every monthly payment you pay at the end of the month with your mortgage, you're paying more of the interest than the principal. So if you want to hit that principal, it's better to, like Miss H was doing and the last lady she was talking about doing, is to pay another payment in between that monthly payment, maybe bi-weekly, something like that, to try to get rid of the principal, because that in turn knocks down some of that interest. So I don't know, maybe when you send the check back, you could possibly tell them to add it towards the interest or add it towards the monthly payment. But you can definitely talk to the mortgagor, because typically the mortgage person is the one who sends that check out to you. Miss H says, so Clark, don't the home buyer have to ask them about taxes and if it's going to change later? DR Horton was not disclosing that for them. So yeah, so typically that's what they're supposed to do. I don't know if they were disclosing it or not. According to how this lawsuit was laid out, it seems like they weren't. It seems like these plaintiffs are saying they knew that it was going to change, and they didn't say that. Instead, what they did is they used their mortgage part of the company, and they kind of suppressed the taxes, the numbers per se, with the estimates of the taxes, I should say. And instead, just so they could get them below that monthly payment that the consumer could afford, so that they would buy a DR Horton home. That's how they kind of have it. That's how I'm looking at it, as far as how they have it laid out, and then also using those promotional tactics too. Like I said, this lawsuit is 80 pages. So inside this lawsuit, they also have the different promotional things as far as the interest rates. 4.99 interest rate. Like recently, DR Horton actually was offering in Georgia, was offering a 1.99 interest rate, and that's probably, and most times it's a buy down, right? I don't know how long of a buy down it was. I don't know if it was a 3-1 or 2-1. I have a video on my channel that talks about how buy downs work. I'm not a lender, however, when you're in the real estate field for a while, and also know people who are, mortgagors, you kind of get a lot of information on how different things work, how things are structured financially wise. But I always tell people too, outside of me, also go talk to a lender so they can break it down even more clearer for you. But I do have a video on my channel that talks about what a buy down is and how it kind of works. So I don't know if D.R. Horton was hitting people with the buy downs, which I think some of them were. They were buy downs, but the APR, which I tell people, you really want to look at the APR. The buy down might have been the interest rate, or mortgage rate, I should say, might have been 4.99, but the APR might have been like 5.8 or something. So typically, the APR makes up the totality of all the fees. And so if you're seeing a higher APR rate, that means that there's some type of extra money that you're paying inside the I don't want to say the loan. Well, yeah, I guess the loan or the closing cost somewhere. You're paying extra money. So they might have charged you on the back end, which you might not have noticed, is that when you go and get an interest rate like a buy down, you're buying the points down, because that's what you're doing. You're buying down the points. And when you're buying the points down, they might say, okay, typically to buy down X amount of points, and this is hypothetical, I'm just making them numbers, it might cost about $10,000 to buy down 1 point. So if you got quoted an interest rate of 6%, and they like, okay, but we can get you down to 5%, we can do a buy down, $10,000 on your closed disclosure statement, your settlements, your disclosure statement. It'll say typically there how much the lender paid to buy those points down. Everybody's different though, because some home builders, since they have their own inside lenders, you might not see that because their lender might have already paid to buy down said rate, so it might not show up inside of your disclosure or the settlement statement because they've already separately paid that. But if you're using an outside lender, sometimes, well, most times, using an outside lender to buy down points, you'll see that on there, and you can say. I always tell people, again, I'm not a lender. Talk to your lender as well, but I always tell people to ask for the par rate. So the par rate typically means that there's no points added in there. It's how much it will cost with 0 points added. So you want to get the par rate. Hopefully that makes sense, and hopefully I answered your question, Ms. H. FYI, when I bought my home, I got it with 8,000 equity in it. It was great and only cost me 35,000 to buy over 30 years. Wow, 35,000. If we could get a $35,000 home now, that would be excellent. You know how many people will be buying homes right now for $35,000? And there are some homes in the Metro Atlanta area that'll probably sell for $60,000, something $1,000, but a lot of them need to be, remodeled, need to be gutted, need to be kind of updated and renovated and all these things. But you might be able to get some of these older homes for that price point, but it just depends on if people want to fix them up, and if people have the funds to do so. That's the thing, right? Most people don't have the funds to go in there and buy a house for, let's say, $60,000 and then put about a good maybe $50,000 to $100,000 into the house. Most people don't have it. She said, hard to find homes at that price now unless you really have a fix it up. Yep, exactly. I didn't even read the rest of what you were saying. I'm sorry, Miss H, but basically we're on the same wavelength. Same wavelength. My cousin said, like said, sounds great, Miss H. Yes. I'm like, I wish I could find a $35,000 home. You could go to auctions too. Typically, now what's happening nowadays with the auctions is that most of these homes that are going into foreclosure, especially in Metro Atlanta, I don't know about anywhere else, but just more in Metro Atlanta, most of them have higher mortgages because most of these people are either investors who bought, tried to flip, took out a construction loan, different type of loans, renovation loans per se. I don't know what type of loans they might took out. Most times it's construction loans, and then they or home buyers that just recently bought, say somebody similar to this that might have bought through D.R. Horton, had this situation happen to them. They're my thing flipped over again. Sorry, y'all. Let's see if we can get this back. I don't know why it does this. When I'm on my iPad, it does it. It flips around. So, did I lose y'all? There we go. It always does this when I'm on an iPad. They're out there, probably fixer-uppers. Exactly, Lang. They're probably definitely fixer-uppers. They're out there. They're fixer-uppers. Sorry, I'm back, y'all. So, but yeah. So you'll get a lot of these homes that you can buy cash from the auctions nowadays, but because they recently bought these homes within the last 4 years, their mortgages are higher, and so their foreclosure in the state of Georgia, you have to pay cash at the courthouse steps. So what you paying cash at the courthouse steps, most people can't afford to buy a $300-something-thousand loan at the courthouse steps and pay cash. If they could, they would buy the house up front cash, right? Instead of financing it. But you can also go to the auctions and you can possibly go and do a tax deed, buy a tax deed property, which in the state of Georgia, there is a redemption period of 1 year in which the homeowner can come back and reclaim said property. But then they would have to pay you whatever you bid it for plus the interest. I also have videos on my channel as far as me going to the auctions. I went to the Fulton County auction, the Cobb County auction, because every county around us has their auction happens at the same time, every first Tuesday of the month, same time frame. So I can only go to one auction at a time without me running all around because Georgia, everything's so far apart that I would take me forever to get from one to another. Is there a certain loan out there to fix up a house? Yes, you can do, if you are approved for, you can do a FHA 203K loan, which is a renovation type of loan that can help you fix up houses. Some people will take out personal loans to help. I don't advise people to do that unless you can make sure you have a budget in place and your finances is great. But you can definitely do a FHA 203K loan. However, you have to make sure one, FHA has to approve it, and they also have to, the lender has to approve. You have to get a contractor, and they have to approve the contractor, make sure the contractor is licensed, and blah 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 blah. It's a lot. It's a lot, but it's doable. But FHA 203K loans, a lot of people are not doing them. So because of that, it does take a little bit more work to kind of get through that process, and it might take longer because I don't think people realize that, because I got this before in the past where people will take, let's say you're getting a $300,000 loan, you only buy a house for $250,000, and people think that the extra $50,000 in that loan can go towards fixing the house up or buying furniture or doing different things, and it doesn't. The loan is only whatever you purchase the house for. If you do the FHA 203K loan, then it's space in there for you to do those renovations utilizing that remainder amount of said loan. But definitely talk to a lender about more information about that. But you can do a FHA 203K loan. Hopefully that made sense, Lane. Croy West said, Clark, what's your opinion on this builder? I've heard some nightmare stories. So yeah, I'm sorry, we have barely we haven't got through the whole lawsuit information. So my thing about the D.R. Horton is that I heard, again, in the past when they was building, they build more quality type of homes in the past. I feel like in the last couple of years, a lot of these builders are building as I call them, and it's so funny because Ashley, who is an auctioneer, actually she's an auctioneer mama. She's on YouTube, Ashley Pickens. She called the houses like build the houses or the Three Little Pigs houses. You can huff and puff and blow them down. And I feel like these houses are being built. They're not being built as much quality hasn't been put into them no more. There's not quality reassurance happening on these houses. So because of that, I feel like a lot of these new construction houses are probably not built very great. However, in the past, these type of builders like D.R. Horton and Lennar and all these other builders, they were, they became big builders because people liked the quality, they thought it was great, and they did a wonderful job. But recently, it hasn't been the same. So it's kind of hard for me to kind of just put a pin on like this particular builder, D.R. Horton. But I definitely say just make sure if you're going to use any new construction builders, try to do your best to get somebody to be on site if possible, because I know some of these builders don't allow you to be on site to kind of supervise said build of the house, because you just want to make sure your house is being built to the best quality it can be built to. A lot of these newer homes, if I don't know if you guys notice it too, and I see it all the time when I go into these new constructions, you'll have like soda cans, you'll have like paper cups, you'll have all these things that the workers will leave on site, and 9 times out of 10, most of the trash and the garbage is actually being placed underneath the island inside the house, and then they cover the island up. They put the waterfall island on, or they put the island in. They put the cabinetry in, and they'll dump all the trash instead of actually taking a trash bag and putting it in the trash and taking it outside. They'll just dump all the trash inside those pockets, and they'll build over them, and you guys won't even know that half of you are living with trash inside your house. So that's what I see when I go to visit these new construction sites. I don't want to make nobody feel like they shouldn't buy a new construction house, but I definitely want to tell people just move with caution, make sure it makes sense to you, and just try to do your best to inspect it as good as possible throughout the process. If that makes sense. I don't know. I feel like I didn't answer your question, Corey West. I'm sorry. But I don't really want to say this builder is better than this builder, because I feel like everybody's the same nowadays, because they're using similar products, unless somebody's really getting like actual, that hardwood from like, back in the days, or getting that type of wood and all that stuff from back in the days. I feel like everybody is similar. So, but there has been a lot of nightmare stories with this builder, with Lennar, with several other builders. So, and even independent builders or small builders, there's been nightmares with them as well, as far as them taking people's monies and them going bankrupt or upside down, and they can't even complete the projects. So everybody's going through everything when it comes to all these builders. So I just tell people, just move with caution and make sure you do your due diligence. Miss H said, do you know about DSCR loans, Clark? That's where people buy homes without money down or a job. Miss H, yes, I know a little bit about them. I haven't had a client utilize them before, but I know a little bit about the DSR loans. Typically, most people that utilize them, that I've talked to that want to utilize them, have been like people that want to go and purchase second homes, or like do investment homes, I should say. Um, and they're utilizing, like you said, they're utilizing like uh sometimes they'll utilize, I don't want to say the bank statement loans, but they'll utilize the income in regards to the property and different things like that. I forget. I don't know if I'm wording it correctly, but yes, I've heard of the DSR loans, but typically I haven't yet to do any person utilizing those loans, because they're becoming more and more. People are trying to dive into them more and more now. But I haven't worked with anyone who's done one yet, so I don't want to tell you I have and I haven't. Thanks, great information, no problem, Lang. Like rental properties and multifamily homes to create income to pay back. Okay, so yeah, so that's what I was trying to say. So we basically said the same thing as far as that. Yeah, so that's what I was trying to say. So yeah, but yeah, that's the like you said, the DSCR loans. Yeah, so we're on the same page. And so let's jump back into this lawsuit a little bit more. It says, for example, defendants promise plaintiff, so one of the guys' name is Frankie Santiago, a monthly payment of $2,164.68. Based on this payment, Mr. Santiago chose D.R. Horton home with a DHI mortgage. What most people don't realize too is that I know some of these new construction people will say, oh, you can only get the incentives if you use our preferred lender or our in-house lender or whatever lenders they might have. But actually, you can use your own lender and you can still get some of these incentives. Every builder might be different. Every builder might put you up for a challenge as far as getting those incentives. But if they're offering, said their preferred lender is offering 10,000 in closing costs, you can go in there and be like, well, I trust my lender. I've had a better rapport with my lender. I want to utilize my lender, and I still want to get set incentives. And you can still get those incentives, y'all. You just have to go in there. You just have to, make a case for it and just fight for it. And you can definitely get those incentives as well. As far as the buy downs, you might not be able to get set by the buy downs as far as like interest rate buy downs, because if they have their own in-house lender per se, that in-house lender is paying for those interest rate buy downs. So they might give you a hard time as far as getting the 2.99 or the fixed mortgage at 4.99 because their lender paid for that. And what they're ultimately trying to do is that since their lender paid for those interest rate buy downs, whether it be a 30-year fixed rate interest rate or a buy down, the lender is like, well, I'm giving you this because you're going to utilize me to service your loan. So it's almost like a trade-off. But definitely, I tell everybody, make sure you do your due diligence. Make sure you know that you don't have to go settle with one person. You should always do it just like Jackie Baker says, just like Jen Sylvester says, David, living in Omaha, Nebraska, Christina Smallhorn, all these wonderful lenders, Shahida Hill, all these wonderful, not say lenders, realtors online. Definitely interview several people, and not just realtors. Interview mortgagors, lenders, brokers. Do your due diligence. Just the same way as you as a consumer might go to one store to another store because you feel like this product is cheaper at this store than this store. So you be like, I'm gonna buy it here, and then you go to this store to buy the other product because you like getting it from here. That's the same thing you need to do when you're making this big financial decision to purchase a house. Do that due diligence. Shop around. Make sure you're getting the best out of your dollar ultimately, and make sure you're getting the best representation that you could get or afford per se, right? So Mr. Santiago went with them. He says, according to defendants, lower than other homes with similar sales prices that he was considering, but less than a year after closing, Mr. Santiago's payment skyrocketed by nearly $1,000 per month from $2,164.68 to $3,136.33 when his new servicer conducted an escrow analysis that included all of his property taxes as well as the amounts he now had to cover for back taxes due to the scheme. So basically, when he got his new his assessment for the following year, the new servicer told him that the escrow was short and this is what the new mortgage was. MHOA said, browser crash. No problem. That's okay, MHOA. I'm like, we're not going to be on here much longer, but I appreciate you coming back even with the browser crashing. Appreciate you still being here. Miss H said, the way things are going now with home buying, why would it make a difference what lender to use when they want to sell that home, get paid and move on? Makes one thing something shady going on. The way home buying is going now, it is, like you said, why would it make a different, as far as you said, why would it make a different lender? Why would it make a different what lender to use? So I definitely understand what you're saying. Like the way things are going, most times these lenders just want to get you in a house and move on. They don't do much to care about your circumstances per se, but it does make a difference because you do have some great lenders out here that'll sit down with you. And I know a lot of them will say they're not financial advisors, and we need to make sure we need to be good stewards of our own money and our own budgets. And I do agree with that. To put yourself in a good situation and not overspend or over leverage yourself. However, you do have some great lenders in the sense of they will send you. What I always tell people too is like when you find a house that you like, reach out to the lender and get a good faith estimate in regards to how much your monthly mortgage could possibly be. Because they're estimating that based off the taxes and different things where it could possibly fall at. So some lenders might not do that right away because they might they don't technically have to quote unquote provide it until you go under contract. However, a good lender might say, you know what, let me give you this so you can see what it could possibly be before you go under contract and then have to back out. And if you already gave your earnest money over, now you're going to do due diligence. You already paid for your home inspection. You're not going to get that home inspection money back. and all these different things. So you can kind of see those numbers up front before you go and put an offer in. So a good lender will provide you with something like that. A good lender will actually sit down and try to calculate stuff out accordingly, to make sure it makes sense for where you want to be at on your budget. Even though some people will tell a lender, I only want to pay $2,500 a month, and they'll go, and the lender will give them a pre-approval that'll put them in a space where it will only be $2,500 a month, and they'll turn around and they'll find a house that they really love, and the mortgage is $2,800 a month, and they want to, go higher, even though they told the lender lower. So it really comes down to accountability as people. Sometimes I don't think people find accountability, and they always aim to blame other people's, when in reality we have to be accountable to ourselves, as far as where we want to be at, and be able to have conversations. I feel like good lenders, good realtors will sit down, they'll have conversation, and they'll talk to you about the different things, and they'll ask you over and over again. Like usually all the people I work with, and they probably get sick of me doing this, I'm always concerned about people's finances. Even though it's not my finances, I'm always concerned about people's finances. So I'm always asking them over and over again. Even like my last clients, we went to a closing table. I'm like, I know how much they wanted to pay on their mortgage. It said on sheet how much could possibly be. And I said, do you guys want to close on this house? If you don't, it's okay to walk away. Even though I know sometimes people are like, what? You walk away, you might lose your earnest money. But I want to let people know that this is how much your earnest money is. If you're comfortable with that, you can still walk away. Don't feel pressure into signing a house. You might possibly lose said earnest money, but you can still walk away, because you need to make sure this makes sense for you. You guys, this is a big financial decision. It's not a small decision. So that's why I'm always approaching people with making sure they're good with their finances, as far as where they want to be at. And I know people probably get sick of me, but I'm really just doing it to help people. Sometimes I feel like, why am I in this field with real estate? Because most of the realtors around me are trying to sell people stuff. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to educate people about making a smart financial decision. Of course, I'm not a financial advisor, but I'm just like, I don't know. I just don't want people to be in bad positions. So I'm always questioning everything. And I'm always trying to say, hey, this is what you told me. This is where you at. Are you sure? Can you handle it? And I know people are like, well, do he want to get me in a house, or do he want me to run away from houses? But I don't know. But sometimes I'm like, why am I in this field? Why am I in this real estate field? Thank you, Clark. Great info. Great info. Really appreciate all you do and others do in your field. Well, I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you asking questions, listening to the information. Hopefully people got a sense of different things on this live. Also, a little bit of a sense of what's happening with this D.R. Horton class action lawsuit. We kind of broke it down in a small amount as far as what's going on. Again, the lawsuit is in regards to the property taxes rising over the year after, in which these people close on their properties. They feel like they're being deceived by D.R. Horton and their mortgage partner, DHI Mortgage, in regards to suppressing how much they truly owe when it comes to their monthly payments. And then once they have been assessed the following year, their mortgage payments go up. Their loans are no longer with DHI. They have been passed on to a second servicer, or servicer per se, or sold per se. You can say they were sold to another. Typically, especially with FHA, it's sold on secondary market. So their loans being sold on the secondary market, and then their once the new lender comes in, and when the escrow is due, or calculations are due again, their monthly mortgage is going up. So that's the whole lawsuit. I don't know how you guys feel about this lawsuit. I think it will be. It's been filed in the district in Florida, and I believe Orlando, Florida. I'm not sure if it's going to go to trial or not, but they're asking for a trial in regards to this lawsuit. They feel like they have been misled. Think that it has been deceptive practices. I'm trying to see if anything else. And a lot of the rest of it, like I said, is an 80-page article. I'll link it below in the description if you guys want to read through all 80 pages. It's literally breaking stuff down from most of these home buyers being FHA home buyers, so they're putting less down payments. 3.5% is the minimum you need to put down for FHA. And what else is it saying here? So yeah, and then it's telling you again about their different mortgage rate, the interest rate specials. I don't know if you guys can see it. Like it has like pieces. Don't mind my phone. it fell, so it's correct. I don't know. It's kind of blurry, but they're showing you too how much the interest rate, like their little promotion for interest rate. So it says 4.99 interest rate special. It says it's a fixed FHA mortgage, 3.5% down. But then at the bottom, that APR is 5.843. So that's where I would start questioning stuff like, okay, so why is this 5.843? Because those include all like the servicing fees and all the fees. So I would read deeper into that if I was a consumer. And it's just talking about how they're doing all that and how there are some more things in regards to like the different promotions they're offering and all that stuff. So yeah, it's a lengthy lawsuit layout. It talks about how DR Horton is headquartered in Texas. It talks about different type of things. It shows how much the payment was as far as when the clients got their payments from the mortgage side, DR Horton. I don't know if you guys can see, it's kind of blurry. So it breaks down different things as far as when it comes to this lawsuit. So needless to say, before I jump off of here too, I just wanted to mention one last thing that I had inside here, and then we're going to get off of here because I don't want to keep you guys too long. As in regards to some people's areas, property taxes going up in the Metro Atlanta area, they just recently had a couple meetings in regards to property taxes going up in the different counties, about around like 31%, and that's going, and it's because of them wanting to raise the millage rate. So if you guys don't know, the millage rate is usually times the what is it? The millage rate times the property value, I think. I'm trying to remember. I might don't hold me to that. I might be wrong. But anyway, it kind of gives you how much you might owe in taxes. And so they're trying to raise the millage rate. They have actually, some counties will be raising it. And I'm saying the reason why they might be raising the millage rate, and I could be wrong, is that I feel like they know that the property values are going to decline in certain parts of the Metro Atlanta area. And they've already been declining depending on where you're at. In order for them to be able to fund said city budgets as far as what they had planned in the future and be able to pay said things in the city, different, infrastructures, blah, blah, blah. They have to raise the millage rate so they can still get enough taxes as far as when it comes to the citizens paying property taxes. So they're raising the millage rate. There's typically no set time when the city raises, when the city raises the millage rate. However, they can do it annually. They can do it whenever they want to. So for the last 2 years, in some counties, they hadn't raised the millage rate due to higher properties. And with them when property selling for higher, they were able to get higher amounts of property taxes back for said properties when they were assessed. But now with the properties kind of dwindling down, and we're seeing a decline in said how much these properties are being bought at, and they're not going up. In some areas, it's going down because home sellers are cutting prices, which is making it go down. They're like, we need to raise this millage rate because if not, we're not going to be able to fulfill this city budget for the following year. So that was something else I just wanted to mention real quick. So if you're in the Metro Atlanta area, hopefully you didn't miss already the the speaking engagements to go and be a part of what's happening as far as your property taxes being raised due to them wanting to raise the millage rate. And some counties will see about a 31% property tax increase. All right. So again, thank you guys for joining me this Sunday night. I appreciate everybody for being here. I appreciate everybody too for wishing me a happy birthday. Again, thank you to Miss H for being here tonight, MH08, my cousin Lang, Corey West, my dad, James Clark, also living in Omaha with David Matney. I appreciate you guys always being here Sunday night. Lauren as well, and anyone else who watched the stream on this Sunday night. I look forward to seeing you guys next Sunday. And until then, take care and have a wonderful night. All right. Bye, Miss H. Have a good night.